morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Happy Tuesday. And it's a little cool this morning here. Not at 50 degrees here on this, what is it, the 5th day of December already?
It is, and it is my grandma's birthday today, so happy birthday to my grandma, Connie. She is an amazing woman, and happy that she was born.
And by the way, we are a week away from the Shop with a Cop that I started on my radio show about 6 years ago. And we're going to be taking 10 families from the Ronald McDonald House to shop at Target. And people have been sending in donations. It looks like they're going to have maybe about $1,000 per family.
Oh, very good.
To shop for Christmas. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it. And the reason for this is, in case you don't know, and if you don't know what Ronald McDonald House is, you've been living in a cave someplace. But nevertheless, it's a place for people to stay for free, or they're asking for a nominal fee, $12 a night or something like that. But it's a place where they can stay while their child is being treated at the Children's Hospital at Memorial. And these people, all their money and all their focus of their attention has gone to keeping their child alive or getting them well again. And so there's no money left for Christmas. And a lot of these families have other kids. So all of a sudden, all the money goes for that purpose, and they don't have money to shop for Christmas. And this is what Shop with the Cop is all about. So Savannah Police, Chatham County Police, Rincon, and others are going to be pitching in and coming down and providing police officers. And next Tuesday morning, we'll be there to report that on it. Next Wednesday, we talked with Billy Soracek, the executive director and CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here a week or so ago about this. And one of the things you can do to help Ronald McDonald House, they usually have something at McDonald's that you can either make a contribution right there when you're purchasing something, or start collecting your pop-top lid cans. Your pop-top lids, just wiggle the little tab off, put them in a bag, and send those in. And they've got a little place outside the place. It doesn't have to be open. Just throw those in a bin that they have down there. They get about $6,000-$7,000 a year out of that. So really kind of neat. So
That's
anything
awesome.
you can do to help.
Love it. Well, and news broke yesterday that Tubby's on River Street is closing.
This is unbelievable. This has been open for almost 50 years.
25 years on River Street. That's what I said.
Well, that's wrong.
Well, there you go.
well, okay. Tubby's, I'm thinking of, Tubby's, okay, on River Street. Yeah, 25 years. And that's not the only thing. They've had other places closed down there on River Street. They had a great restaurant down there once upon a time, about 15 years ago. And it was terrific. It was, I can't think of the name right offhand, but a very exotic menu where you could get this great food, a little pricey, but it was absolutely great. The service was great. And they decided to not renew the license there and turn it into a chicken place because we needed another chicken place. And it stayed open for about 6 weeks before it went belly up.
I was going to say, it seems like there's like a rotating door going on down on River Street. We saw Joe's Crab Shack, I don't think has been open since I have lived here. I've never seen it open. It's a great building, great location.
It is. And the food was great. My wife and I ate there a couple of times. Then we went there for New Year's Eve, like year before last, I think. And they said, "Are you?" And we came in and said, "Are you a member?" We said, I'm sorry, are we what? I said, "Are you a member?" We're only seating members tonight. You have to be a member of Joe's Crab Shack?
That's bizarre.
We thought so too. And we said, well, you won't see us tonight. Well, not only are we not coming back, we're not coming back.
Interesting.
So
interesting. And Bernie's Oyster also closed down on River Street. So this is just another in a long list.
So what's next? Olympia Cafe?
Please don't take it. It's a gem. It's like one of my favorite restaurants in the entire county.
River Street Sweets?
Yes.
Come on.
I need to stop going into River Street Sweets. It's dangerous in there, but
very
into? Good. Well, Bill, I think that over the next 4 years, we're going to see something that we've never seen before. I think there's been a lot of change in Savannah, a lot of change in this county, but re-electing people that are excited to change anything they can. It's going to be a wild ride for the next 4 years here.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And Steve Stanton Sr. is with us this morning, and he says, surprised that the woke hasn't figured out a way to cancel Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, because you don't see Ronald McDonald himself on the ads.
That is interesting that he disappeared. He was like the mascot all growing up, and like the little monster
And
characters.
and really apropos nothing. You know how Ronald McDonald got started? It was an idea of a weatherman on the Today Show years ago, and he was the original Ronald McDonald. And they went to Ray Kroc, who was still alive at the time, the founder and CEO of McDonald's, and they said, "We got this idea for Ronald McDonald." And he said, "You're going to have a clown pitch my hamburgers. This better work, or this board of directors is history." Well, it worked like a charm.
Yeah.
And of course, they had other characters, but apparently it was they insulted somebody with the bandit and all that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
they went
So,
away
mhm.
quietly into the night, didn't
Yeah, they
they?
did. Yeah, like Fritos used to have the Frito Bandito, but
Oh,
that was insulting Mexicans.
wow. Well, moving
Please.
on to the border,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah.
you
Speaking
know,
of borders.
yeah, well, here's
Mm.
the thing, Bill. So, do you think that we should figure out a way to give people that cross into this country illegally
Mhm.
a pathway to citizenship?
No.
Well, Dick Durbin disagrees with you.
Really? Dick Turpin?
Yes.
I can't imagine how. How? What's the scoop there, Dickie?
Troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there is also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance? I think we should.
Now, how do we know that? How do we know that that they have an urge to serve this country, other than come in here and get all the benefits that you and I are not allowed to receive? Story last night on Fox News at night with Trace Gallagher had some veterans on that said, I as a veteran who have served in war zones are not entitled to some of the things that the VA is giving now to illegal aliens. The VA is vehemently denying this, of course, but remember, never believe anything till it's officially denied. And they are, we've already arrested two or three U.S. Navy sailors who are of Chinese origin for espionage and spying for Red China. Oh, I'm sorry, Communist China. I'm sorry, China.
Bill, I just don't. I mean, they said the quiet part out loud. We've been asking for months, why are there so many military age males coming into this
Mm-hmm.
country? Well, here you go. And they're also going to be, but here's the thing, why would they go into the military when they can get all the benefits for free?
Yeah.
So they can sit
And I'm going to go in and somebody
yeah.
could be shooting at me.
Yeah, and we're building all these encampments for them to sleep in. I mean, life is probably way better here in the US, although I have heard that people going to these cold cities,
Mm-hmm.
it's not for them. They want to go home now because it's definitely not what they were told it was going to be.
Life near the equator seemed to be a lot warmer for them. They prefer global warming
Yeah.
to global cooling up here. I was sleeping on the street of Chicago right now. Heck, when I walked out this morning with a short sleeve shirt on, I was cold.
Yeah.
And I can imagine trying to sleep in 24-degree weather or below on a street in Chicago.
Yeah, and Lizzie Warren says, well, the Dems destroyed the military. How convenient to find a way to make them voters.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that because they and why are the military services having trouble recruiting people when we have kids today who don't know anything except what's on their phone? when they're told by their teachers and by others and by the media that this is a lousy country, that we stole it from the Indians. I'm sorry, the Native American, I'm sorry, the indigenous people, and that we're rotten.
Well, and they're not. Steve Stanton brings up the exact point I was going to talk about, but they can't meet their recruiting goals because they have sold out to the woke. Do you want to go serve in the military where they're advertising, drag queen drag queen events, and you have to go through all these diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, and you're basically told if you're a white male, you kind of suck.
And if and most of the DIs will tell you that drill instructors will tell you that they have to spend maybe the first 6 weeks of boot camp just getting these kids into shape, because most of them are overweight. They haven't they've had practically no exercise in their life. They've spent most of the time in front of a computer screen and not playing outside or anything of that nature. So there's that, and then of course the special forces like the SEALs and the Green Berets and others are having even a tougher time, because you have to be in super shape to be in those particular organizations.
But they are not having a hard time meeting their recruiting goals. The Marines are not.
Oh, I know the Marines are. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a culture there, right?
Exactly.
There's a culture that people want to be a part of, and I think that's the something that we really should look at, is that the Marines actually have a very specific culture, where the military, like the Army, have turned it into this joke. I mean, the second they started promoting all of these trans men,
well, the Marines have caved on some things too, including the women's. They used to be separate men and women's organizations. They're letting the women in now.
They shouldn't be doing that.
If a guy had to do 50 push-ups, the women only do 30. That sort of thing. Well, I'm sorry. If you're going to be in a particular organization, if that's the goal, if that is the training regimen, that should be the training regimen. If a girl can do 50 push-ups, okay.
Well, do you think the men are like super excited, like that the woman is going to be in charge of taking them or pulling them out of a situation, and they can only do 30 push-ups when the requirement's 50? I don't feel good about that.
Oh, I remember something on a similar line when the women started going into firefighting forces. There was a training film that some firefighters in Los Angeles released that to the media, that just got the left shorts in a wad, which they like, I think, anyway. But nevertheless, I digress. But it showed the trying to put up these ladders, these big heavy ladders, and the girls were falling over and couldn't pick up this stuff. So they're going to go up on a second floor building that's burning and pull a 200-pound man on their shoulders and take them out. I think not.
Unpopular opinion: women and men are different. I mean, we just are. Physically is probably one of the biggest differences. Yes, please write that down. Men and Lizzie Warren says, and promotion opportunities are reduced for white soldiers. I have heard that. Yeah. Being a white male in our country right now is not a fun place to be. And I think that people need to stop promoting this stuff. I do think that we're seeing a huge shift, though. I do think we're seeing a shift as like everything starts to crumble, including everything they're selling us at the government level, I feel like. So we'll see.
Hopefully people are waking up, and maybe that red wave or tsunami that we were hoping for is going to manifest itself in another 11 months. All right, coming up next,
we have the final conclusion to the interview with Bubba Hope, who wrote the book Mob Island.
Mob Island. All right. Bubba is on deck. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
What happened?
Well, when you opened up the Chewy box, you went a bit...
Bonkers. That's one word for it.
I guess I blacked out. This is the best squeaky toy ever.
Probably shouldn't, but we did get you a few more gifts.
Honey...
Ooh, there's more.
Chewy's prices were so great.
You don't need to explain yourself, Linda. Keep on saving.
Pets aren't just pets. They're more.
Well, I hope I got a leaf blower this year.
You got a turtleneck.
Unwrap the excitement this holiday season with great deals from Chewy.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday morning. And apologies, we will have to delay the third part of our interview with Bubba Hope because of we've got some technical issues, which covers a multitude of sins in this business. But yes. We'll have it tomorrow for you.
Yes, and Bill,
I do highly recommend the book, though. The Mob Island is now out, and it's a great stocking stuffer. And the great thing about it is, Brittany, it's each chapter is sort of a story unto itself. You know, you could start on chapter 13 if you wanted to, or something like that. You don't have to. It doesn't have to start to finish. Just in some earlier chapters, the character or particular person he's talking about is explained, or how they became friends or associates. So check that out. But it is a good read, and it'll keep you up.
Yeah, and I know that one of our viewers, Mary Hybreeder, she bought it already.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
You know, your favorite, John Kerry, was
Old Boltneck
at their. You know, I feel like they have a lot of environmental conferences, and they got to use a lot of jet fuel.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing to me that they can't do these on Zoom.
Yeah.
Why do they need to meet together?
Yeah.
Why can't they do this on Zoom?
To Dubai. To one of the oil capitals of the world.
I'm sure Dubai loves it
and
too.
say that fossil fuels are something we need to get rid of, especially coal. If you'll remember, I interviewed the governor of Montana about 20 years ago, and he was running his entire farm on the gasification of coal. He said, once you get rid of all the dirty stuff. He said the fuel that they get out of coal is very clean, so especially diesel fuel. Most diesel fuel, if you look at it, if you look at it, it's kind of a reddish orange. But this stuff, he said, almost looks like water, and you get a lot more mileage out of it. He runs his entire farm on he built a little device that gasifies coal. Hitler ran the entire Third Reich on it for years.
Interesting.
So it's not like it's a new technology, and we've got enough coal for the next 10,000 years, even at today's consumption rate, and we could be gasifying coal and doing all sorts of great things with it, and we wouldn't have an energy problem at all. Period.
Well, this is what John Kerry wants to do with your coal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's old Boltneck explaining it to us.
We ought to be transitioning out of coal. There shouldn't be any more coal-fired power plants permitted anywhere in the world. That's how you can do something for health. And the reality is that we're not doing it. So, the measure here is really sounding the alarm bell. I find myself getting more and more militant because I do not understand how adults who are in position of responsibility can be avoiding responsibility for taking away those things that are killing people on a daily basis. And the reality is that the climate crisis and the health crisis are one and the same.
He's something else, man. He is something really else.
Is. And they went on further to say, he says, I don't understand why people can't understand this. Well, it's because we are not worried about it.
Well, and our friend Steve Stanton says, so glad he's 80. Is he really 80 years old?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he is.
Wow. He's 79.
Yeah, but he's so one of the most amazing things is that they actually think that they're saving the planet. I think they're helping to destroy the planet, and it's rules for thee and not for me. With they're all coming in on their private jets and everything else, and he said, "Well, I have to fly private because I couldn't make all these conferences and get all these places here just on commercial airlines or something like that."
Yeah, and Steve Stanton's really good because he's currently 79 years old, but his birthday's on December 11th. So very good, Steve.
Yeah.
And you can get the book on Amazon, the Mob Island
Mob
book.
Island, yeah, and it should be. I think it's in all the bookstores now. So Barnes and Noble, Shavers. Just go into your favorite bookstore and pick one up, or you can just order it. Try not to use Amazon, but nevertheless, go in and order the book.
Yes, and Steve Stanton says, "Thank God he didn't get president." Can you imagine? There's a lot of people I think about. I'm like, can you imagine Mitt Romney being president? Oh my gosh, there's a lot of them that we've had terrible candidates. Like, what are we doing?
That would have taken him over old Boltneck.
Yeah, well.
But nevertheless, 20% of our power right now comes from coal. 38% worldwide. What they're doing, and what he's trying to do, is shut down the coal power plants in these poor countries in Africa, where they actually need the power. They need it. And we wouldn't be able to charge our electric cars if we shut down the coal power plants without some sort of an alternative. Where do you think the electricity is going to come from to charge the cars? The California. This is one of the debate thing that came up in the debate with DeSantis and Newsom the other night on Hannity. When Ron mentioned to him, said, they're shutting down, they're having rolling blackouts in California now, and our daughter-in-law's father lives out there in a trucking company. He said sometimes 3 hours a day they're without power, and yet they're demanding that they buy electric cars.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
Lizzie Warren says, "Bill, I'll make a deal with you. I'll stop using Amazon if you stop watching Fox." And Steve Stanton says, "Ditto." I kind of love you guys.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. Knock it off. There's too much good stuff on Fox. I'm sorry.
But I think they're also gaslighting a lot of people, which I don't like.
Well, you can tell the difference.
Some people can, Bill. That's kind of the problem, is that you have people that have. I mean, we have the same problem on the left that we do on the right.
And the stuff on Fox, and the stuff on Fox Nation, by the way, is absolutely fabulous. There's about a 3 or 4 part series about the Boston Tea Party. It is really good.
It's just really unfortunate that they kind of tainted their brand, and they're also. I mean, they're going after Trump still. I mean, they got to stop.
Okay.
And so, anyways, we'll move on from this. But going back to energy, I think that we're seeing that I'm a little nervous about this Hyundai plant going in, since they are all electric cars that they will be building, but yet everything's come to light, and no one's buying them.
Yeah, I know an executive out there that I have emailed 3 times and asked him to, answer these questions for us. Are you going to transfer to making hybrids, something like that are selling? Are you going to start making real cars? Because you're building this huge facility here that's supposed and hiring 8,400 people. How long is that? But there's no market for this product. What's the situation? And so far, I know that silence is golden, but this guy's been 24 karat. It's pathetic. So you have.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about how this EV thing, it's coming to a head right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody wants these electric cars.
The political push to force you to buy an electric car in many states hitting another little bit of a speed bump. In fact, thousands of auto dealers are now calling for President Biden to, quote, tap the brakes on the unrealistic government electric vehicle mandate. Their words. With us tonight is one of those dealership owners, the owner of Celebrity Motor Cars, Tom Maioli. Tom, this isn't like you and a couple other people, right? I mean, this is a lot of car dealers writing this letter to the White House.
Yes, good to see you. This is thousands. This is thousands of dealerships that represent multiple brands, not just one brand, domestic, international brands. and all across the board. And this is basically the voice of the consumer. This is not the dealer. This is the voice of the consumer. And what's happening is the manufacturer is being forced to produce these EVs. They're shipping them to the dealerships, and they're backing up on the lots. Our average day supply pre-COVID was 60 to 90 days supply of inventory. During COVID, it was less than 30 because of the supply chain issues. We're now backed up to 12 months with EVs. Consumers don't want them. They're not buying them. We have up to $15,000 in rebates from the manufacturer and $7,500 tax credits. We're talking $22,500.
And people, they think I'm some EV hater. I've owned an EV. I've driven many of them. I'm not. In fact, I've been poking around because I think they're very cool in many different ways. I was looking at a Ford F-150 Lightning, and I saw something, and you have a Ford dealership, and it wasn't on your website. It was on cars.com. I don't know who the dealer was.
Should have been on my site.
Well, I'll go back. Okay, but the Lightning retails for what, 95 new, something like that?
Yes.
Okay, right. I saw brand new F-150 Lightning. I mean, like 23 miles on it.
Yes.
For $78,000. It had been marked down $20,000. Yes. How is that possible?
Still can't sell it. Consumer doesn't want it. The consumer's in fear over the infrastructure. The infrastructure is not there. The White House and the Biden administration and got way out over its skis with this mandate, and the consumer has to buy into it, and they're not. And the problem that exists now is, they force the manufacturers to spend all this money to build these plants and produce these vehicles, but the consumers aren't buying into it. They're afraid of range. They're afraid of where they're going to charge. And we're not talking about, listen, Tesla is a vanity purchase. People have to have a Tesla. They have a second vehicle. Most people can't afford the first vehicle, never mind the second vehicle. And these people are coming out to the dealerships, and they're buying these vehicles, and they're afraid. These are average working American people. They're putting their families in the car. Moms are driving their kids to school. Dads have to get to work. And, if they have to charge on the road and it takes 30 minutes to charge.
Tom, we're running out of time, Tom. I'm sorry to interrupt, but a crazy night. Can you kill them? Can you kill a myth? Because there's going to be people on Twitter that pop up after either segment and say, dealers hate them because they're not getting the services revenue. I talk to car dealers almost every day. I got friends that own them, and they make a ton of money on EV service because the EV costs are much higher. The windshield in an EV is like $5,000.
Listen, we're either going to sell EVs, we're going to sell gas vehicles, or we're going to sell hybrids. We're going to sell something. We believe in EVs. They're a part of the market, but it has to evolve, and they're not letting it evolve.
So this is not like we just hate them because they don't need oil changes, right?
No, not at all. No, we want to sell EVs, but they have to evolve. You have to let the market evolve and the infrastructure evolve, not shove it down the consumer's throat.
Pretty big deal there, Bill.
That's why free enterprise works and government control doesn't.
Yes, and Lizzie Warren says, you could not give me an EV. Senate Democrats demand amnesty in return for tightening asylum laws and border security. And then Lizzie Warren said, I told the school board not to make redistricting plans based on the EV plant. They laughed at me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't think that, I don't know that we're going to see the growth that they think we're going to see in this county.
Oh, of course not.
I think that was very premature. And the redistricting is a huge issue. I don't know if you've heard anything about the school redistricting, but they're going to be sending kids from New Hampstead, which is out near Pooler, into Beach High School.
Why?
Because they're redistricting them into...
Why?
Great question. I'm not sure. That was just, that's how they've done it.
Okay, this is really stupid.
Yep.
And by the way, if you purchase something from Amazon, you're actually financing Jeff Bezos and the Washington Compost and all of his other organizations. If I watch Fox, I'm not purchasing. It doesn't cost me anything, and I'm not purchasing anything. Okay, it's just a difference.
Fox Nation, you do have to pay for.
Yeah, I do have to pay for that.
You're supporting Fox.
But I enjoy that.
Yes. So, Mary McCann Hybrider says EVs are putting the cart before the horse. I think hybrids, I think that they are a good balance. Yeah, I think they're a good balance, but I don't know why they kind of quickly went past the hybrids. They were like they must not make enough money off of them. I'm not sure, but they quickly passed through the hybrids, which I think are a good, my friend has one. They're great. She gets a lot of mileage out of it. But at the end of the day, when she has to replace that battery, it's going to be a different story. But
and by the way, the cities that have bought these electric buses have spent all this money on that. They've
Savannah.
had to actually buy 2 buses for the same route because it runs out of power halfway through the day.
So one for the morning shift and one for
the evening shift,
Mhm.
or afternoon shift. Yeah, that's for
That's
sure.
exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I think we bought 6 or 7
Yeah,
here.
and as far as I know, they're still in the shop.
Good purchase,
Yeah,
everyone.
way to go. Yeah, tax dollars at work, among other
Yes.
things. All right, coming up next.
Well, we always talk about media, so NewsGuard, what are they doing, and how are people fighting back?
That's it coming up. Stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. What's the one you were talking about?
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday morning.
Yes, and Bill, I think that we've noticed that the media is getting out of control. I think that I know, can't even believe it. It's so hard to believe.
Yeah.
But we're seeing Rumble and all of these places like fighting back because of the damage that some of these media companies have done to different platforms such as Twitter, Rumble, and Truth.
Well, what they're doing to damage our society, and the blood that's on their hands. And then when Donald Trump called him out years ago, they said that this is how dangerous this was, that he was attacking the free press. Well, the free press isn't the free press anymore.
No, they're a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And all you have to do is look at who the executives are and where they
and how connected they are to the government, right?
Yeah, and how many times a Democrat will leave, or somebody who works in Democrat DNC realm, all of a sudden retires and becomes a multi-million-dollar news anchor or
a lobbyist
or journalist. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But PragerU digging into this with NewsGuard, who is the news certification for basically being able to tell you whether you're peddling false information or not, which people are fighting back.
Yeah, way to go, Prager.
So Tim Pool is very upset with NewsGuard, and so are we. Let's see what Tim has to say about NewsGuard, the scammers.
I use something called NewsGuard. Why? Well, the logic is fairly obvious. NewsGuard rates websites with trust, determining whether or not you can believe what the news outlet says. I started using NewsGuard because it's their bias metric. Apparently, they've received funding from the government, and now we're trying to determine who is telling the truth and who is not.
Not only do they receive funding from the government, they received $749,000. None of us still know what was done with that money, Tim.
NewsGuard has lied about Timcast and misrepresented what we do. Anybody who's basically anti-establishment, critical of vaccines, critical of Democrats, is often labeled dangerous fake news, and thus there is a lawsuit from Consortium News against NewsGuard. When NewsGuard themselves claimed that Timcast.com published fake news, to which I responded with, here are 2 NewsGuard certified sources asserting it's true. Have a nice day.
Let me tell you why this matters. Probably most of you are saying to yourselves, who cares about NewsGuard and their rating? Who cares if they're getting a perfect score to CNN and the New York Times and an abysmal score to Tim Pool or to PragerU or to the Daily Wire or to the Federalist? You're probably wondering, why do we even care? Well, I'll tell you why we care. They're going after our contractors, our vendors, they're going after banks, they're going after our websites. They're trying to take us down, all in the name that they are guarding the news. They're guarding the audience from hearing fake misinformation. But really what they're doing is they're guarding themselves and their clients from the rest of us who want to share the truth about what is going on.
Boy, they didn't like that one. They went, oopsie daisy. Because if I can't trust your certifications, it destroys your entire narrative, doesn't it? Instead of merely suggesting rebuttals to untrustworthy information, as many other existing anti-misinformation groups do, NewsGuard has built a business model out of broad labels that classify entire news sites as safe or untrustworthy, using an individual grading system producing what it calls nutrition labels. Recently, NewsGuard downgraded Timcast from 82.5%, I believe it was, to 69.5%, because they claimed they reached out for some corrections and we didn't respond. That is not true. As far as I can tell, and according to my staff, they never did.
They don't care about the responses. I have an entire document here going back and forth with NewsGuard where we responded to them with the truth, and they don't care. They'll just keep asking you more and more questions. We got 57 out of 100. Meanwhile, the New York Times, CNN, they get a perfect nutrition score, 100%. So no matter how many times we'll go back and forth with NewsGuard, they don't care about the truth. They only care about labeling and taking down media companies that don't share what they want to have shared. Don't waste your time responding to them. They're a complete scam.
A dirty game they play. When NewsGuard initially rated timcast.com, their nutrition label, they call it, was so laden with insane errors, they had to issue multiple corrections and apologies in the span of a couple days. And to this day, their statements about me still have many inaccuracies, and they don't care and they won't correct it.
And they also won't be transparent about what they're doing. So while the NewsGuard scammers are attacking media companies that they can't control, we have some questions for you at NewsGuard, and we know that the public wants to join us with these questions. So here are my questions for NewsGuard. Dear John, we at PragerU also have some questions for you as we have opened an official investigation on behalf of America's public. We want to understand the funding and incentive behind NewsGuard. Please provide us with answers on the following questions. What is NewsGuard's relationship with Publicis, the PR company for the pharma companies? What instructions have you received from them? Do pharmaceutical companies you work with instruct you to provide guidance to target media organizations that talk about the vaccines? What instructions has NewsGuard received from the Department of Defense? And what has it done with the $749,000 that you have accepted from the U.S. government? This is our money, and we want to know what was done with it. In the wake of the Twitter files and the discovery of relations of Missouri versus Biden, what is your comment about government collusion with tech companies? What instructions, directive, suggestions, or advice has NewsGuard received from the NIH, the World Economic Forum, the CDC, World Health Organization, the U.S. Institute of Medicine, or the White House? We deserve to know. Please name your directors, your board members, your contributors, and all of those who are affiliated with any of the organizations I just mentioned. Now, critics say that NewsGuard is biased in its ratings against new media and conservative medias. Can you please explain to me why CNN and the New York Times have an absolute 100% perfect score, even though they repeatedly publish lies and misinformation? Please disclose how much funding you have received from the unions, the American Federation of Teachers, which you have a partnership with. What is the nature of the relationship? What promises have NewsGuard made to the AFT and the teachers' unions? What is your comment about Elon Musk's assertion that NewsGuard is a scam, which I happen to agree? And what are your plans to retaliate against X? Now, NewsGuard has been sending me threatening letters demanding that I disclose every single one of the PragerU staff members that has been working on our content. And so we deserve to ask the same questions. I'd like to know, what are the names and credentials of each and every single person involved in fact-checking for the news rating services? Please include their past employment, their college degrees, and their professional associations, including the relationships with all of the organizations that you have been protecting. And if you can honestly, at NewsGuard, respond to all of those questions, we might actually answer your questions too. Yours truly, the public. And I want to invite all of you who deserve to know the truth to join me in this effort. What questions do you have for NewsGuard? What demands do you have against these internet bullies? Sign our petition at PragerU.com and also join me in asking important questions. Let's get all of you out there on the internet finding out the information behind this corrupt scam organization that is trying to take our First Amendment down. Go to PragerU.com right now and join me in this effort.
NewsGuard. It's amazing to find out that they're in bed with the government, just like all of them have been for.
Once you start taking money from the government, they start telling you what to do. There are always strings attached. That's one of the things that I was watching. I heard Larry Arnn this morning, the president of Hillsdale College, said when the federal government started giving universities and colleges money, Hillsdale refused to take it, and that's why they can continue to do what they do, teach the Constitution, talk about God, say Merry Christmas, and any of the other ancillary things that go along with it. And when we started taking, a lot of people were warned. Our boards of education were warned, said you start taking this money from the federal government, and it's going to come back to bite you in the butt.
And look what's happened. Most of our children are not even learning to read.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
that's
but they know their pronouns.
Thank goodness for that, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bill. When you take it down to the simple fact of what is the role of government?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the role of government to be giving money to a place like NewsGuard? Is it the role of government to be controlling that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
or National Putrid Radio.
Yeah, I just don't think that should have ever been the role of the government. The government should not be. Why are they allowed to spend our tax money however they see fit, but we're required to pay it even though we disagree with how they spend it?
Mm-hmm. And then we have to tell them every year where all of our money went.
Yeah, and if not, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't said enough, you better cough it up pretty soon, or they're coming to take your house, come and take your business, raid your business, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's just interesting. If you explain this to a 5-year-old, they'd be like,
mm-hmm.
"This is stupid.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?"
Yeah, there's a reason it sounds stupid, because it is.
Well, and Mary McCann Hybrider said NewsGuard equals censorship. Lizzie Warren says, and Biden's new reading program requires public schools to include gender and transitioning. That's pretty wild. So I don't. I think taking money from the federal government, I think that the states also need to stay away from it. But the problem with that then is that more funding goes to the states that are run terribly, like California and New York and Illinois. So I don't know what the recourse is here, but we've got to get these people in line, Bill. I mean, I don't like the way that they spend the tax money. I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to me. They're in charge of infrastructure, protection of the country, and those are really the two that I can think of.
Provide for the common defense, that's the military.
Yeah.
And domestic tranquility, that's the police. Okay? That's their job. That's the prime directive.
Well, they haven't gotten that, Bill.
Not so far. Well, not anymore. All right, coming up next.
Something shocking coming out of Denver, where talking about schools and
transgenders and all of that stuff. Yeah. Where did you hear this?
Yeah, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing.
Buy local and keep the torch lit.
This campaign really leverages our current campaign, which is rooted in the authentic representation of Savannah. We're sort of using the authentic locations that you'll see throughout the campaign, but we're taking a twist on it and adding an evocative or unexpected element that visitors may not think about when they think about Savannah. And so when they see these ads in their magazines, we want them to say, oh, I know Savannah, but wow, that's cool.
One of the advantages of being a new agency to a destination is in many cases you get to experience the destination for the first time yourself, much like a visitor would. And feeling it and experiencing it for the first time on our own really gave me the sense that there is a vibe to this city that is not like Charleston or not like any Florida beach destination. How do you communicate that uniqueness? That's what we need to convey, because when somebody comes to the destination for the first time, they're going to feel it themselves.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday here as we head down the home stretch. Christmas is just around the corner.
It sure is.
Have you done your shopping? Hope you've got it all taken care of.
Yes, and if you haven't, you talked about Amazon earlier.
Yeah.
Go to Public Square. There are a lot of companies that are conservative, leaning, believe in freedom. That's where you should buy your Christmas gifts. I think that's where the new economy is going. Public Square does have some big goals, and one of them is to actually create an Amazon type environment on their app, but also it would allow you the ability to pick up stuff locally at a store. So they're working on a couple of things which are really exciting that I think will come out in the next year or so, but that's where you should shop, but you should shop there probably pretty soon because the holidays are getting really close.
What frustrated me about Amazon more than anything else, just what it looks like some offer for a nice product that I wanted, and all of a sudden I'm on this Amazon website, and no, I just want to buy that product. I don't want to go to Amazon, and all of a sudden you've got to log in. I didn't know I had an Amazon account, so I'll put in a new account, yes, okay, and then I'll go in and say, oh, that email is already registered.
They have a monopoly bill.
Yeah, and then say, okay, I forgot my password. And you go in and then it comes in. That's already registered. Here's to reset your password. Go to your website and go to your email and reset your password and go through all this rigmarole. No. I just want the book. I just want the record. I just want the movie. Okay. Jeez.
Well, I think the thing about Amazon too, Bill, is that it's so convenient, and they also, with your Amazon Prime, you get the movies, you get all of that kind of stuff. So I do.
It's a dream come true.
Well, I think that they've made us so reliant on it too, and I think COVID also helped push that as well.
Sure did.
Lots of wins on the Democrat side.
Yeah. A lot of things that COVID did for us.
Yeah.
Like get Joe Biden elected.
Yeah. Not anything good, I don't think.
Yeah, nothing so far.
No.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and a Denver couple is demanding what happened and why they were not notified that their child was going to be rooming with someone that identified as a female when actually they are male.
So their little girl, and this is 5th grade, told to sleep with a boy who identifies as a girl on an overnight trip. Here's the story.
I want to bring in a good friend of this program. Her name is Kate Anderson. She is with Alliance Defending Freedom, one of the nation's top religious liberty law firms in the country. Kate, welcome to the show. Tell us what's happening there in Jefferson County, Colorado.
Thank you for having me on the show. Well, ADF sent a letter today to Jefferson County School Districts on behalf of our clients, Joe and Serena Wales, parents in Jefferson County who their daughter, 11 years old, just graduated from 5th grade, was on an overnight trip to Philadelphia and DC and found out the first evening that she was set to share a bed with a boy student who identifies as transgender. She had not been told ahead of time. Her parents had not been told ahead of time. And so she ended up calling her parents while hiding in the bathroom in the hotel room to try to figure out what to do with this situation. A situation that was entirely avoidable if Jefferson County had just let parents know about their policy ahead of time.
This is shocking on a number of levels. Let's unpack this. First of all, you're saying literally sharing a bed. That would have been terrifying for that little girl.
Yes, and she got along with the student very well. They had spent a lot of time together that day. They did for the rest of the trip, but she was uncomfortable, as one would imagine, with the idea of spending the night in the same bed as a biological boy. And it was the student who told her that he identified as transgender and was biologically male. The school district, after several different requests to her chaperones that night, did end up moving the student and another girl to another room so that she was in a room with just another girl. But had to navigate that largely on her own, a long way away from her dad. Her mom was on the trip with her.
I have to imagine the parents must have been horrified to get that call from their daughter in a bathroom.
Yeah, she was hiding in the hotel bathroom, which she told me did not lock. And she wanted to try to figure out what to do. She didn't want to make waves, but she was worried about her own privacy and obviously very uncomfortable and distressed with the idea of spending the night with a biological boy in the same bed. And when the Wales got home, they found out this was actually district policy to room students on overnight trips, all overnight trips, based on their gender identity, and not to tell all parents about this. So that's why we sent this demand letter. We want to ensure transparency over that policy and that the school district lets parents know so that they can make the best decision for their kids so that no other little girls end up in this situation.
So let's talk about what the law says here. And ADF, you guys have been very successful winning cases at the Supreme Court. What does the law say? What rights do parents have when it comes to these overnight trips?
Well, parents absolutely have the constitutional right to direct the upbringing and education of their kids, and that includes getting basic information from their schools. Every parent should be concerned when a school district hides information, and parents need to be able to protect their kids' privacy, to be able to help work with their kids and their school to make the best decision for their individual child when a child's going on an overnight trip.
And I have to imagine this. Look, and again, this is not about the transgender child here. This is about parents having the right to know and being able to make those decisions and not the school district.
It's about every child's privacy and every parent's ability to get the information and make the best decision for their child, no matter how that child identifies. And the parents sign tons of paperwork anytime their kid goes on an overnight trip. So somewhere in that paperwork, it would be very easy for Jefferson County to provide this information to parents and let them know so they can make the best decision and opt out of a policy like this if they need to.
Well, good for you guys here. I know you've sent the letter. So if they do not respond, or if they say, hey, look, this is our school policy, nothing you can do about it, what's the next step for ADF?
Well, we will certainly contemplate litigation if we need to, but we're very hopeful that we can work through this with Jefferson County. It's an easy fix to make sure that all parents have the information and can make the best decisions for their kids, and it's best for all students. So we're hopeful that they will agree and clarify their policy right away.
Wow, and the little girl involved here, that has to be a traumatic thing anyway. Even though nothing happened in that room, still, the classmates, you know how kids are at that age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very difficult for her to have to advocate for herself. And she actually had to ask a couple of times because the first suggested solution was just to move her to the other bed in the room. And she had to continue to advocate for herself. She has 2 younger siblings that are set to go on this same trip. So there's urgency for the Wales to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to their 2 younger children.
All right. Well, good stuff. Okay, we're glad you guys are on the case. Keep us updated here. And this is something I think every parent in America is going to be paying very close attention to.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
All right, there you go, folks. Kate Anderson from Alliance Defending.
Welcome back. Pretty
So there you
disgusting story.
Yeah, Todd Starnes is terrific. I used to talk to him on several occasions back when he was with Fox, and it was just he is a delightful guy, and overcame. He was extremely obese at one point. He's lost a lot of weight, and he even wrote a book about it. He had to have a heart bypass operation, and to save his life. And he wrote a book on the subject. It was something like they cracked me open and found gravy on my dipstick.
Oh, okay. All right then. But here's the other thing, Bill, that bothers me. It's like, how are parents supposed to know what the policies are? I think you assume good intent from these school districts, which they don't deserve, but you're assuming that they're going to be taking care of your child in a way that you're okay with. But really, a lot of these policies, I think, have shifted in these school districts, and I just don't think parents are aware because they work full time. They don't have time to study every policy change within the school district.
Well, it's the teachers' unions that have taken over in many of these districts, and they have come up with this philosophy that they know better than you on how to raise your child. That you should go along with what they say. Compromise and do it our way. As the Democrats always like to do.
Yeah, and Chrissy Maud's with us this morning, and she said parents should have stopped assuming good intent years ago. Homeschool.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I think that people need to run away from these schools, and I think we've seen a mass exodus from the schools into homeschooling and into private schools as well, which sometimes we've seen the videos come from private schools too. The stuff that they're doing that's not okay. So you really have to be super involved with what your kid's doing in order to figure out what's going on in those schools. So.
And you notice that the government's also trying to block homeschooling by coming up with all of these different kind of rules and saying you can't bring all these kids into your house and have this school without our permission. It's just it is preposterous what's going on, and we're going to have to fight back. That's why 2024 is so important. It's why hopefully we need to be here. Because you're not going to get this from the corporate-owned television stations around this town or the newspaper.
No, I don't think anyone is willing to have the conversations. And here's the thing, Bill. You and I don't always get it right. I had a phone call yesterday about something that we said, and, it was about George Santos, which his story is going to be interesting. The stuff that they're getting him on is basically he lied about who he was.
We just asked a question.
Yeah, and the question was, is there going to be an appointment or is there going to be an election?
An election. That's all we asked.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know New York law. I don't know what they're going to do. I would think they would have a special election like we do here.
Yes, and that is correct.
Okay.
They will have a special election. And George Santos could potentially run again, which would be...
he could run as a Democrat now because he's got so many accolades as a Democrat with all the things all the lies that he's told.
It's pretty wild. But the things that they're getting him on, Bill, are not nearly as serious as what we see from Mendez in the Senate. So it's just interesting who they go after when they're not exactly the best person.
When are they going to do something about Eric Swalwell after sleeping with a communist Chinese spy?
I guess that doesn't meet the high priority, Bill.
And I remember, Tucker Carlson used to have that guy on just about once a week, and complaining about what the treason that Donald Trump was committing. And here's this guy sleeping with a communist Chinese spy. And who'd Dianne Feinstein have as her chauffeur for 20 years? A communist Chinese spy. Who'd we just arrest in the Navy? 2 Chinese sailors that were in the U.S. Navy we've just arrested for spying for communist China. And we don't seem to be very concerned about this.
No, our number one enemy is the domestic terrorists in their country that are concerned about what their kids are learning in school. Most important thing.
Yeah.
Well, Lizzie Warren says Swalwell was in love, right?
Yeah. That week?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
looking for love in all the wrong places.
He definitely was.
Yeah.
He definitely was. But remember to keep us here in 2024. We need your help. Go to thelocalspin.com. You can become a member. You can donate, and you can also advertise with us.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to keep it sub rosa, had one potential advertiser I talked to. He said, "Well, I want everybody to shop at my place." Not just conservatives and stuff like that. I don't want to offend they're advertising on these television stations that are offending you or ignoring the news. I wonder if they're going to be covering. We got General Flynn coming to town. I wonder if they're going to be covering that, because they didn't cover their own Savannah native, Stephen Friend, when he spoke to ladies on the right, the FBI whistleblower. That should have been the lead story on every television station on the front page of the Savannah Morning News, which their new slogan is "Yesterday's News Tomorrow." Whether or not, why weren't they there? Why weren't they there?
Didn't you ask that question? Did
I
you get
asked,
an answer?
yeah, I've sent news directors at all the television stations if they'd like to come on. They like investigative reports so much. How about we do one on you? And so far, once again, silence is not just if it's golden. They've been 24 karat.
It's not good, Bill. There's I mean,
Haven't heard from Hyundai. Haven't heard from any of the television stations or the newspaper as to why they didn't cover Stephen Friend, the FBI whistleblower.
Well, and the other thing that I think I'm realizing is that if you're not going to be friendly or tell the narrative they want you to tell, they're not going to reach back out to you when you ask hard questions. So if they advertise on liberal stations, I'm not seeing their ads, is what Lizzie Warren said. So,
I mean, I think we need to. I think we as a community need to know the answer from Hyundai on what they're going to do, since nobody's buying. You saw the story earlier that these car lots are backed
months.
up. I was at one of the car dealerships yesterday on other business, and I said, "How are things going with your electric vehicle sales?" Said, "Nobody wants them. We can't sell them." And this is a dealership that had to spend $60,000 putting in a charging at their expense. Nissan didn't help pay for it. $60,000 charging station that has so far gone pretty much unused. It's collecting a lot of dust.
Well, it continues to be a boondoggle, and I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah. So we need the Hyundai people need to answer, allay our fears a little bit. If they're building this plant where they're supposed to be hiring 8,400 people, and you've got all these other companies that are coming in to support all that. For the batteries and everything else, and the slave labor that goes into
huge.
To get,
it's huge.
Yeah.
The Hyundai plant is ginormous. Like I'm when I drive past it, I am just still amazed at how big it is.
Yeah. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to abandon this? Because there's no market for EVs. The starting price is $60,000 on most of them. You could buy 3 real cars for that.
Well, and does that include the charging station and all of that put into your house?
No.
Oh,
No, you've got to do that. Deal. So and electricity is not free.
I think that comes from coal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe it does.
So
yeah,
weird.
There's a lot of it. Yeah, 20% anyway. But at least Georgia has had the good sense to build more nuclear power plants. We got the 4th one about to come online here very shortly. Just had the number 3 reactor go online about a month ago. So we're the only state in the last almost 50 years that has built a nuclear power plant. And one of the reasons that it stopped not only was the anti-nuclear activists, but the 3 Mile Island incident in 1979 that they kept saying was a disaster, and they kept telling lies about it. The safety system worked. The first 2 safety systems failed. The 3rd one did. None of the water escaped. But all of a sudden, there's news stories coming out all over the place about how more people from that community were dying of cancer than any other place in the world. A lie.
Wow.
That the 2-headed cows were being born on the farms. I mean, all sorts of things. They show how the plants were being distorted and all. And I'll take a look at those. And this was some plastic plant they bought at Walmart. Or so it was just pathetic how they were lying about this. And so all nuclear power, they started shutting down nuclear power plants in New York and elsewhere in California.
And that's worked out really well, we've seen.
Yeah, but France, I thought we were supposed to do things like France. Yeah. France is 80% nuclear power. And even they are talking about shutting down some of their plants now. Because of all this anti-nuclear stuff. And I just want to see, I just want to be amused at if we did have a lot of electric vehicles, what that next hurricane evacuation is going to look like when these cars start running out of power on I-16.
Well, the thing is it's going to be sad for everyone because those people are not going to be able to move. And the people with gas-powered cars are going to have to figure something else out. But Christy Maud's with us, and she said, we were told that they are bringing Kia engineers from different U.S. states to run the Hyundai plant. That's kind of interesting. And Lizzie Warren says, and battery degradation. Yeah.
Well, I don't care who's running it. What are they building? quit building electric vehicles. How about retooling and going to hybrids or going to real cars?
Yeah, and Chrissy Maud said, that's a scary thought, Bill. We could go on and on about the electric cars.
Could you please, come on and talk to us and try to allay some of these fears instead of seeing there being silent. But
maybe they're trying to still figure it out. They thought that this boondoggle was going to be something that they could push off, but I don't think it's going to be.
Okay.
Especially with the economy going the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But if you want us to still be here and ask these questions and try to cover some of the stuff that the other stations don't, we need your help.
Go to thelocalspin.com and help us out.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back tomorrow.
See you then.